I'm Colin Merchant from HOK. Our offices are all over the world, but I'm actually based in the London office. I'm here to do a presentation on Skolkovo, which is a new massive project based in Moscow in Russia. The project is looking at a thing called the Technopark, which is a science centre looking at 5 different research facilities ranging from biomedical science through to nuclear energy and space technology. Skolkovo is an interesting foundation created by the Russian government together with other leading players in science and technology. The project is moving on from the idea of a concept into what the Russians call project, which is actually to deliver the design of a facility, and that will probably take another 3 or 4 months to do that. What HOK has been doing is actually preparing the brief for the design of the project. The brief being across all 5 science clusters, as they refer to them. It's a big project, very complex because of the way that they expect the interaction to work between the groups. And one of the things I'm trying to get across tomorrow is how they view collaboration to work between the different sciences and how the collaboration will work by sharing space and sharing equipment. They had looked at another project that HOK had done in London, which is now called the Francis Crick Institute, used to be known as the UK CMRI, and they looked at how the collaboration should work in the Francis Crick. They felt that was not the model for them, but were interested enough in HOK to say, come and talk to us and see how we can help. So we've been developing the brief with them to see how we can get the thing to actually formulate, which has actually been extremely difficult when you have people like guys who are looking at communications, long-distance communications in space, and then you actually have a biomedical researcher doing bioinformatics. You've got to try and find a laboratory to work for both of them. Quite complicated. The other issue is that Skolkovo are only intending to provide what they call the common use centres, and then attract 300 to 400 companies to work with them on the site. Skolkovo are the foundation, ultimately is trying to deliver, if you call it crudely, Silicon Valley, but they want to achieve it in 2 to 3 years. Fast program, yes. And a major exercise. What I found, that I think the first one this morning, which was the one that Wendell did on Irvine University College in California, I thought was very good. What was interesting about that for me was the fact that they'd analysed the in-use of the project. So it's not just about the capital cost of building the buildings, it's about how much it costs in use and the long-term savings that capital investment may achieve for them in the future. And that was very important. And when you're in the weather zone like Moscow, where 6 months of the year there's snow on the ground, it's actually quite an interesting problem for them. But yes, I thought Wendell's had done a lot of well-founded research. The second presentation, which was done by Neil Crossan, interesting because it was actually a laboratory that I worked on in a previous life when I worked at AMEC. So the observations I had were the fact that people, so for instance in AstraZeneca there are the ceilingless labs, and people seem to question whether you can actually have ceilingless labs. The answer is absolutely yes, provided the building's maintained properly, as it should be. So I was quite interested in the sort of slight resistance to the idea of ceilingless labs. But he did demonstrate the prefabrication that went on to all the services, and I thought it was actually quite clever. Prefabrication is something that we definitely need to look at in Skolkovo. because it's such a big project. The project will be sucking in the building industry from most of Europe for the next 3 or 4 years, and prefabrication is going to be one of them, the movers that will pull the development along faster than we otherwise would live with. I think the effort put in by Peter James and his team, I think, is fantastic. I've been to a couple of meetings with Peter at various locations like Edinburgh University in the past years. This, I think, is a step forward, and actually I think potentially a superb step forward for a conference held annually. What I like about it is that a lot of it is about people who use labs, design labs, and it's, to be honest, less about people who provide equipment into labs. And I think that's all to Peter and his team's strength. And I think this could move science and research and the capital investment in labs along a great deal. And I hope every success coming into the future.